So in the mortgage industry, trusts are a great idea. I recently just put my estate into a trust, a revocable trust. I'm Sandy Catrone with Crimet Financial Learning Center, and today I brought my trust attorney here, and this is Cristyn Kelly from Access Law Group. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about what different trusts there are and why you would use them.
Yeah, so different types of trusts that we might put together. The most common trust vehicle we use is the revocable living trust, like we did for you. Revocable means that the person who created it retains control and access over all the assets inside the trust and is able to amend or destroy the trust. So,
and I can do a mortgage under my trust. I don't have to take it out of my name to do the mortgage, which is a great thing for me.
That's a huge benefit, because when people start pulling properties out of their trust, they forget they have to put it back in, and they just assume the title company took care of that, which they didn't. And then we have probate when we had a trust, and trusts avoid probate. So one benefit, no matter what kind of trust you get, is anything the trust owns or inherits skips probate. And probate is the court process that we go through when a person passes away. And different states have different requirements, but here in Colorado, it's owning real property, so your house, or more than $80,000 as of 2023. So really low, easy threshold to get pulled into a court
life insurance can go in there too, right? You can put your life insurance in a trust. Yeah, because I did that, or I'm still working on getting everything under the trust. But so what would be the difference between a living trust and a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust, which I know irrevocable is not a good idea?
Yeah, so revocable and living are sort of like interchangeable. Living just means it exists right now versus trusts that get created after a person passes. So just a quick note on what that is. Sometimes attorneys will build inside a will, and a will is an instruction sheet, as you know, for probate. So it doesn't keep us from probate, but the trust lays dormant in the will and then comes to life through the probate proceeding. So in my opinion, they should always just be separate. So that's the difference in, what's the living piece of the trust. It means it exists right now.
And then if I pass away, then the trust then automatically becomes irrevocable.
Correct.
Okay, but that doesn't prevent my kids from getting their inheritance.
Correct. Okay. It just prevents your kids from changing your distribution pattern, which we want. We want to make sure your boys inherit equally, and we don't have the one who's trustee say, oh, you know what, I think I'll take more than 50%. So it becomes revocable when you pass. Or in a married couple where they have the trust irrevocable, it becomes irrevocable usually when both spouses pass.
So what if somebody was going through a divorce? As a CDLP, we would prefer to see equity buyouts for spousal support rather than them getting the monthly spousal support, because if there's a lot of money, we only have to show one payment in a trust, and then that's their income as long as it goes 3 years forward. So would you have any advice for divorcing couples as to what they should be doing if they're in a joint trust, or are they always separate?
So if they're divorcing, they should absolutely each get their own independent counsel. An attorney can't represent both. It's a conflict of interest because of the divorce. And they should each be creating their own separate trusts and their own estate plan, especially if there's minor kids or young adult children involved. And then you can use the trust the same way you would have used the married trust to qualify for the mortgage. You can now use the individual one.
Gotcha. All right. That makes a lot of sense. All right. I really appreciate you explaining this to me, because a lot of people are really unsure about what they should be doing or what type of trust they should be doing. And I know that there's more than just revocable or living or irrevocable. And, like I was telling you, it's I came into one that I'm not really familiar with. So,
Yeah, and the distribution pattern inside trusts can be different. So we were just talking right before this about a trust that sounds like it's a lifetime trust. So trust can be structured all sorts of ways. It's one of the beautiful things about a trust is you can change the way the law would dictate beneficiaries, but also how they inherit.
Right.
And sometimes it makes sense to spread people's inheritance out over a long period of time.
Okay.
Because we've got beneficiaries who are not very good with money or have drug, alcohol, gambling problems. So sometimes we call those lifetime trusts. We also do educational or pet trusts for people who want to make sure their pets are taken care of.
Pet trusts. I heard of that. Oh my goodness. That's right. I forgot about that. I got to do that for Molly.
Yes. And just to be clear, with pet trusts, the pet's not the actual beneficiary. The pet can't inherit anything because they're personal property. We know they're not. They're family members, but the law says they're personal property. So instead, we say the money is the caretaker takes care of the pet. And then if there's any money left when the pet passes, it goes to usually a nonprofit of some sort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. It doesn't go to the person that was taking care of the pet.
It can sometimes. A lot of times in those situations, though, the clients are already giving, like, hey, here's $20,000 as a thank you.
Can you ever change the payment pattern on a lifetime trust?
You can while the person who created it is alive. Once they pass, it becomes irrevocable and really hard to change distributions. Unless the biggest example would be if a trust is uneconomical to administer, meaning it just doesn't make sense for how much it costs to have the trust to not just distribute the money.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And again, this is Cristyn Kelly from Access Law Group, and I am Sandy with Crime at Financial Learning Center.